Alright guys, today I want to show you a game between Kirilll Alekseenko and Fabiano Caruana. Let's quickly look at the standings. So Jan is on the first place, is 5.5, and Fabiano, Anish and Maxim Vashilograb is 5 points out of 9, so only plus 1. These 4 players will decide who will play Magnus Carlsen in his next match for the World Championship. So Alekseenko started with the second part of the tournament with 1.5 from 2 games. He previously defeated Alexander Grishuk. It was a long game. Alekseenko sacrificed an exchange. It looked like Alekseenko will be the side who might lose, but somehow he just kept playing and created threats, and Alexander forgot that he might lose, and at some point in the time trouble, so lost the game. And this game against Fabiano, of course Fabiano tried to win this. He's last ranked player in this tournament, and obviously Fabiano had some prospects on how to outplay such player. So let's say the game e4 and Fabiano plays e5. For me it's a little bit surprising. I thought that against the less rated opponents he might play for some e6 or c5, but he decided this solid strategy for the game. Well, we can blame him. It's a good move. And bishop c4. This was expected. I think Alekseenko mostly plays Italian game now. They say that Italian game might be a little bit more popular for research because it has less drawish lines today. And Fabiano plays knight f6. This is also very standard for today, to offer this to nice defense with very sharp play and a lot of concrete variations. D3 proposes to transpose to gioco piano. C3 takes away the d4 square, so just white has advantage due to fact that this knight is not on c3 yet, and white takes d4, so their pawn structure is more flexible and they control more squares in the center. h6, not to allow bishop g5. Some players don't play it like this. They play like castles or d6 first, so that after bishop g5, h6 and g5 later, to create a very imbalanced position. Fabiano again doesn't want this in this game. He plays h6, rook e1, defending e4 and preparing d4, h3, and d4. This is a little bit surprising. Normally white plays knight f1 and knight g3, but he starts playing in the center because I think that knight moved from c6, which defended d5. Now it has to go back, but again they start this tension in the center. This pawn now is attacked. a4. If black takes, then we take everything, and after exchange, something like queen to b3, and white is better according to agent they have very good compensation to bishops, open position, and I would take black here, but I think that white has good chances here. All right, so bishop e2, again, leaving this pawn unprotected. And now Fabiano takes it. So the idea of this move also bishop to a2 is to free square for the knight. So knight c4 attacking the bishop. White will have two bishops, and also it weakens the pawn structure. C takes b, this b6 pawn will be weak. So he takes, and c2. If he takes here, then bishop b2. Actually, Engine was proposing this variation, but Fabiano thought here for a long time and didn't go for it. He decided that this bishop here is too active. Yeah, it like destroys this diagonal, and queen cannot move because of the doubling of the pawns. And well, it seems reasonable. So he decided not to play like this. He just gave the pawn on c2. So takes, and bishop to d2. Taking the b4 square. Obviously, knight wants to play on b4, but you don't want to triple your pawns here. Then white will have a real advantage. Bishop a6. And Alekseenko took this and played queen to b3. Well, Engine says that the position is equal. I think that both players could be happy with their position. Fabi obviously had some idea on how to play for win. The position is unbalanced, and this knight has lots of perspective here. Is an Italian game, knights are very strong. They often have a lot of different maneuvers, and I think that Fabi was pretty happy with what was going on. Queen e8, defending e6, takes on b6, knight d7. If he takes here, then knight c5 is unpleasant. These knights again create a lot of tactical nuances, and also white cannot push back this knight from c5 because this b4 is controlled by the a5 pawn. So Alekseenko didn't take it, he played back. And in this position, for me, Caruana played very strong move, e5. It's actually very nice because he puts his queen to e6 at some point, and also these knights, they get this beautiful outposts everywhere. So to c5, and also at some point knight to d4 becomes possible when this knight moves. He also has this idea to sacrifice an exchange and then play knight to d4. Queen d3, queen e6, defending, and knight to h4. This move has been criticized. It's not that bad actually. Just Alekseenko was thinking how to play here, because with this direct play, let's say rook to d1, these knights start approaching, yeah, and so for instance they will lose this pawn. It's hard to win this backward d pawn because black will defend it, and when you play, you always want to play make some active moves. So Alekseenko just played it, and that's what I said in the beginning, that somehow in this second part of this tournament, whatever Alekseenko does, it looks a little bit suspicious, but in the end it turns out to be like good decision. So he plays a lot of on intuition, I think. Knight c5, queen g3, preparing this knight to f5, but not really, because there's always this trick to take on e4, and then this knight will be hanging. So knight to king to h7, rook d1, centralizing your pieces, and g5. The engine just doesn't like this move too much. The engine prefers to play rook f7 first, just saying that, okay, we have this nice pawns here, we have this g5 threat, but if you want to acknowledge your mistake, you can play back, but then you just lost to tempi, and this queen here is, I don't know, a little bit trapped. Yeah, but if you play to f5, then it's always this trick to take on e4. So and of course knights here is doesn't really do anything. So but it's really thin idea, very hard to spot. So Fabi was thinking that he might be better after g5, but knight to f3, rook f7, c1, and this rook f8 appears to be a mistake, because now Alekseenko exchanges the queens. He understood that queen, of course queen here stands badly, and if he tries to play like queen to e7, for instance, then h4, and white is better. White starts to bother these two pawns, and the threats become real. So Fabi had to take rook f6, defending d6, and bishop to e3. So engine was proposing to play b3, just give up the pawn, and if he takes, then engine claims that white has good compensation. He played actually a very similar idea, rook d5, attacking this a5 and preparing to rook to b7. He took, and in this position Alekseenko played the best move, rook to c1. I don't know, he played it very quickly, and the commentators were really shocked. They couldn't understand. They were expecting rook to b1, for instance, which is, well, also like not that bad, but still black has good chances to win after something like this. They have this free pawn on a5, rook a. Well, this position is almost winning. I'd say like that, but that's not what happened. He played rook to c1, and he saw that this knight actually is a little bit off guard. Rook f7, and here Fabiano, I think he a little bit blundered here. He thought that he might be winning the endgame, but it appeared that he just makes a lot of exchanges, and white has a lot of counterplay. Alright, so he repeated, and it appears that white has so many counterplay now. They attack this pawn, they attack e5, and they just one pawn down. Rook to e7, so they exchange everything, and b6, for instance, then this pawn's like not going anywhere, yeah, because this rook will attack the b6, and this is just too slow. Caruana played rook to a5, which is much more aggressive, gave this pawn, and f3. Another idea of the engine is g4, g3, and f4, but I think Alekseenko played really well. He played f3, and he calculated that now this e4 pawn gives him a draw. So let's see the final moves. Rook a8 and queen to d3. These are, I think, quite easy to spot actually, because white doesn't have other plan. And e5. So the idea is that white has now a passed pawn, and this rook here is passive, but white has so much counterplay that black will have to give up the rook in order to get rid of this e5 pawn. So he went up, and very nice trick taking the pawn, because if black takes, then it's e8 queen. So he played rook e7, and this position appears to be a draw. Takes, and the king g6 taking the last pawn. So congratulations to Alekseenko, very nice draw, and thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.